Hello and welcome to Women in Retail Talks. I'm Ashley Taradio, Senior Content Strategist at the Women in Retail Leadership Circle, and today I'm joined by Deborah Labuddy, founder of MEMO, a unique online destination of designer fine jewelry offering women a platform to discover jewelry and connect with designers. Today we're going to be talking about MEMO's unique business model, how retailers can adapt to the current situation, removing the common in-store pressures associated with fine jewelry, and much more. So Deb, thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Ashley. Thank you so much. It's great to join you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I gave a brief introduction, but can you tell us a little bit more about your journey to founding MEMO?
Sure. So my early career was actually in corporate America. I was a financial executive for a publicly traded company. And I also worked in mergers and acquisitions with that company. So it started off that way, and then left that company for a technology company that was venture backed. And so that was really my foray into entrepreneurship. But jewelry was always a passion. And it was something that I think even in the early days, like I had a personal passion for. But certainly through, my training and working in startup companies, and I actually ran a venture fund for a period of time, I've always had an eye out for new market opportunities. And, the two just merged for me, frankly, which I was delighted about. And so those were the early beginnings in terms of me thinking about the concept and the opportunity.
So can you tell us a little bit about how MEMO takes cues from the traditional jewelry world and offers consumers the ability to explore their collections by ordering pieces to try on at home?
Yeah, absolutely. So MEMO is actually a term that's used in the jewelry industry. I think many people don't know that. Some people do know that. But taking a piece on MEMO pretty much means on loan or on spec. And so today and for many years, jewelers would oftentimes allow a consumer, or sometimes a designer would allow a retailer to take a piece of jewelry on MEMO, which meant that they could see it first before deciding on a purchase. So the name originates from that, but the concept in total really allows our consumers to get up close and personal with a piece. Jewelry is very personal, and more women are buying jewelry for themselves. And as you probably know too, jewelry today has evolved as well. It's, a lot of times it's about the designer and it's about the craft. And so we find that our consumers really enjoy getting to understand designers. We curate collections very specifically so that, if there's a very strong design aesthetic, which often there is with our designers, it really comes through on the website. But then when they order a piece and have it shipped to them, they can see that up close as well. And so that's really the full solution that we provide.
I did not know that is where the name came from.
Yeah.
And so just to add on to that, I know MEMO is dedicated to removing the common in-store pressures associated with fine jewelry. Can you talk about what type of customer experience you offer instead?
Sure, absolutely. And it's interesting, when we started MEMO, and actually before we launched the website, we actually interviewed women. I had somebody do some interviews with me. Most of them took place in New York City. Some of the women were from outside of New York, but women who were very successful in their own right. And what we found was that in a traditional jewelry store setting, oftentimes there's this pressure, right? So it's, if you walk into a jewelry store, most of the jewelry's locked behind cases. Sometimes there's even a security guard standing there. And so the concept of being relaxed and having fun is overshadowed by what's felt like pressure. So we created MEMO to be an online destination where we could curate collections, have women shop the site at their leisure, in the comfort of their home, but then order pieces and have them shipped to them. And so there's something very unique that happens when you do that, to have some pieces arrive at your home. And we have a 3-day home try-on period, which doesn't seem like a lot of time, but we found that for most women, it's more than enough time either a person knows immediately that a piece is perfect for them, or they take the time and they want to see if it really fits with their life, right? So whether it's trying it on with multiple outfits or asking a spouse or a friend, it's this very attractive courtesy, if you will, that's extended, that we find that our consumers really value. And I've had consumers actually respond to us and say that the entire process is just extremely fun, which, you know, is an interesting thing that maybe you don't hear so often when you think about buying fine jewelry.
Yeah, I think the first thing that would come to my mind is maybe stressful. So a fun
Correct.
experience
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah, absolutely. We think very hard about the entire process. You know, if you think about it, when we ship a piece of jewelry, the person hasn't sold it yet, right? So we think very hard about the experience, not only of shopping on our website and ordering a product, but we also think about the follow-up after that, as well as the packaging experience as well. And for us, everything has to be seamless and exciting and fun.
So has Memo had to pivot any business strategies or operations due to the coronavirus pandemic? How have you guys
Mm,
been doing?
yeah. So no, we haven't pivoted. I'd say we've just accelerated. And what I mean by that is, you know, obviously as an online company, when the pandemic hit, especially in the United States, which is predominantly where we do business, you know, it became very apparent that what we were doing all of a sudden really increased in terms of value to our client customer. Obviously, a lot of physical retail was shut down. So we were a location that they could shop online, but there was also this added benefit of being able to have things sent to their home. I mean, most people were home anyway, right? So, you know, so that was certainly, you know, we certainly accelerated our efforts with respect to adding designers and adding pieces to the site. A lot of our designers actually had additional product that was now not in physical stores, so we could add it to the website. And then we also had plans to take the next stage of our growth and actually offer our home try-on service to other brands that we were working with, so that they could offer it on their own websites. And that was something that we've been thinking about for a long time, and we had started to build. But when the pandemic hit, we accelerated that as well. So we're now actually installed on a few different designers' websites, and we have many more that we're actually actively engaged with. So it's really, it's evolved our business. It hasn't pivoted, but it's certainly evolved and accelerated our business.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about being a leader in 2020? You know, have you used any strategies to lead your team and keep them motivated throughout this time?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's been a different time, and we all know that, right? And I had a conversation with my team very early on, and the storyline was really that I didn't see things changing, like not in a negative way. We all had our personal situations to deal with, and everyone was different. But you know, I think everybody felt assured, at least, that, you know, we were going to continue doing what we were doing, and we have. But there was also a implicit sort of flexibility and openness that came with that, as well as a positivity, because I think there's so many reasons that you could start to feel negative about, you know, the pandemic and what it's done, and family things that we all have to deal with, right? But the business for us has been a positive thing, and I think that's, at least for my team, made them much more, you know, motivated and excited. And you know, we're a young company too, so we've always been more flexible and open, and you know, we've worked from home before, right? So that part wasn't super new for us. But it was really those things.
Yeah, you definitely had a leg up having already worked from home and not had to, you know, adapt to that. That's good. So another thing is that this crisis is prompting a lot of innovation in the retail industry.
Mm-hmm.
What's something you're looking forward to in retail in the future?
Yeah, I think obviously we're trying to push the envelope on a lot of things ourselves. But if I had to think about the industry generally, and especially in terms of, what this pandemic has done, I think it's forced us all to think about humanizing things more. And maybe that's because we've been separated or isolated from each other in some respects for a bit of time now. But I think as things move online, as we become more digitally focused, keeping that human aspect, and you do hear always about personalization, but I think this goes beyond that. So it's creating a digital experience, but keeping that human element in that experience and with the brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. At Women in Retail, we really value mentorship. Do you have any mentors or mentees, or has mentorship played a role in your career at all?
Yeah, I would say definitely has. It's funny, mentorship. When I started my career, it was often talked about very formally, right? Like to find a mentor, to meet with a mentor. And I think when I think back about over my career, it's really been the informal mentorships that have meant the most and have been really critical to my career. And that goes for working in corporate America, certainly to when I started a venture fund, and a couple gentlemen that ran very large funds gave me the time, and most importantly, gave me the opportunity in many different ways to learn that trade. And I think even in my current company, with MEMO, not coming from the industry, people that I hired and that worked with our team, there was this sort of implicit mentorship of each other, right? Me from the standpoint of starting new companies, them from the standpoint of working in the jewelry business, and we all learned from each other. So I think it's a lot of times those informal processes that mean the most.
Well, Deb, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Women in Retail Talks.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much. It's been great talking with you.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.